This is Tim, a full-time office worker who has recently got into running. Recently, Tim has progressed over the last 6 months to complete his first half marathon and feels ready to take on the marathon distance. However, there is one obstacle in Tim's way. He doesn't know what shoes to run his marathon in, and with all the different running shoes available on the market, he just doesn't know where to start. If you're in a similar position to Tim, I hope that this video will help you choose the best shoes to run a marathon in. Let's get into it. Running shoes are constantly evolving year on year, but at times it feels like there can be too many to choose from. If Tim decides to head to the running shop to choose the cheapest pair of shoes available, he runs the risk of potentially experiencing discomfort when running in them, and even worse, may end up getting injured as a result. Running shoes are the most important investment a runner will make in their running journey, and it's important to understand the different types of running shoes available out there to work out what one is best for you heading into your marathon. Now, there are two main types of shoes, and I will also go into a subtype of shoe later in this section. But first, let's start with the neutral shoe. These shoes are designed for most runners who have a natural running gait. While this type of shoe provides cushioning for shock absorption, it doesn't quite include support for your arches or the sides of your feet. So this type of shoe is designed for runners who have relatively high arches and don't overpronate when they run. Let me show you a quick clip on what overpronation looks like.
This means the foot rolls too far inwards as weight is transferred from the heel to the metatarsals to the big toe and distributed unevenly with too much weight on the big toe. Sometimes the arches collapse or the ankle rolls inwards.
The next type of shoe is stability or supportive shoes. Now, this type of shoe is designed for those runners who tend to overpronate, or if you have flat feet like me. These shoes provide extra arch support, usually having a stiffer midsole that helps correct the foot's inward roll as you run. Now, as we are talking about the marathon distance here, I'll also mention those two subtypes that I talked about earlier in the section. The two subtypes of shoes are carbon plated shoes and non-carbon plated shoes. The only difference between them is carbon plated shoes have a carbon plate in between the midsole that helps runners propel forward and are often used by all of the elite marathoners we see on the TV. Essentially, carbon plated shoes have been designed to make you run faster, usually sacrificing some comfort and support as a result. A good way to gauge if a particular shoe you're interested in running a marathon in is by reading the reviews left by other runners out there. More often than not, usually via social media or running related websites. Personally, I found Reddit to be a goldmine when it comes to running shoe reviews. You often see runners posting their first run reviews of a particular runner, and even sometimes looking at 100-mile plus reviews on how the shoe is lasting, and even all the way up to 500 miles and seeing the longevity to each of those shoes. I'll also flag though that when choosing your marathon shoe, it is a very individual choice. Some of the shoes that I'm about to mention may not quite work for you and may work for other runners out there. So let me share some marathon shoe recommendations. I'll also include some comments made by Reddit users. I'll share some carbon plated shoes and some non-carbon plated shoes for you to consider using for a marathon. Let's start with non-carbon plated running shoes. First up, we have the Asics Superblast. Now, some pros and cons here. Pros are that it's lightweight, excellent cushioning and responsive. Some cons are that they can be expensive for a non-carbon plated shoe, and some find the upper a bit too loose. Here are some comments by fellow Redditors. The Superblast feels super light and bouncy, perfect for long runs. Great shoe, but the upper could be more secure. Otherwise, it's fantastic. The next shoe is the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, and some pros to the shoe. It's versatile, responsive, comfortable, and the nylon plate adds pop without the stiffness of a carbon plate. Some cons though, that it can feel like a narrow fit, and that some people experience some durability concerns with the upper of the shoe. Some reviews by Redditors are, the Speed 3 is my favorite all-rounder. It's great for both training and races. Love the responsiveness. The nylon plate makes it feel fast, but not too rigid. The third shoe is the Brooks Ghost 15. Some pros to the shoe is that it has excellent cushioning, comfortable, durable, and great for beginner runners. And a con is that it can be a heavier shoe and not the most responsive. Reddit comments include, Ghost 15s are reliable and super comfy for long distances, perfect for beginners. They handle mileage well and have great support. The last shoe I have in the non-carbon plated category is the New Balance Fresh Foam 1080 V13s. Pros to this shoe are its plush cushioning, roomy toe box, and its durability. And some similar cons here is they can feel bulky and less responsive. Comments from Redditors include, the 1080 V13 is my go-to for easy and long runs, so cushioned and comfortable. Great shoes for long distances. The cushioning is fantastic, but it can feel a bit heavy. And now we get onto some carbon plated shoes. First is the Asics Metaspeed. So they have an Edge version and a Sky version here. Some pros to the Asics Metaspeed series are their excellent energy return, lightweight and comfortable fit. Some cons to the shoe include they can be quite expensive and the fit itself can be tricky. The Sky version is better for stride runners, whereas the Edge version is better for cadence runners. I'll leave a link to the Asics website that explains the difference between the Edge version and the Sky version a bit clearer than what I can. Comments from Redditors include, the Metaspeed Sky is amazing for races, feels like you're flying, and I prefer the Edge for my cadence. Both are fantastic, but make sure to pick the right one for your running style. The second shoe is the Adidas Adios Pro 3. Some pros to the shoe are that it's durable, excellent cushioning, stable, and great for longer races. Some cons are that it's slightly heavier than some of the carbon plated shoes out there, and can have quite a high price. Comments from Redditors include, the Adios Pro 3 has a perfect balance between comfort and speed. Love it for marathons. As well as, feels more stable than other carbon plated shoes, which is great for longer distances. Another is the Nike Air Zoom Alphafly Next Percent. Some pros to this shoe are its superior cushioning, exceptional energy return, and its lightweight. Though some cons to consider are its bulky appearance, very expensive, and can feel unstable for some people. Comments by Redditors about the Alphafly include, the Alphafly feels like cheating. The bounce and energy return are incredible. They are bulky, but the performance is unmatched. Perfect for race day. The last carbon plated shoe is the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Pros to this shoe are its great cushioning, responsive, comfortable fit, and lighter than its previous versions. Some cons though are it can be a narrow fit for some and has a high price tag. From a Redditor's review, the Endorphin Pro 3 is light and fast. Love the Speedroll technology. I thought I'd also share some personal recommendations on both types of shoes. I'll start with the non-carbon plated shoe, choosing the Asics Nimbus 25s. When training for my first marathon, this shoe handled anything and everything I threw at it and felt comfortable throughout the entire New York City Marathon last year. One con that I had with this shoe in particular was its inability to pick up the pace, usually finding myself struggling to do so in my quality sessions. For the carbon plated shoes, the Hoka Rocket X2s, in which I ran my second marathon in just recently. I fell in love with the aggressive rocker of the shoe, its stability throughout the longer distances, and also the soft PEBA foam that allowed me to feel like I was running on clouds. One con, and this is particular with the Hoka brand itself, is that it was an eye-watering expensive price. So who or what can help someone like Tim or someone like yourself watching this video choose the best shoe to run a marathon in? If you have this option available, I'd recommend heading to a running shoe shop specialist to get specialist advice on choosing your first marathon shoe. These shops can help in a variety of ways, the most common being the opportunity to provide their customers with the ability to have their running style analyzed. From there, the person can help determine what type of shoe would suit your foot best when it comes to running a marathon, and also the opportunity to try on multiple different shoes. My second bit of advice is to not overcomplicate your search when looking for shoes to run a marathon in. You may see some runners out there building extensive running shoe rotations, but I'll admit, if it's running your first marathon, you don't quite need that just yet. My last piece of advice is to make a worthwhile investment in your running shoes. Your running shoes will be the most important investment you make on your running journey, so it's important that you choose wisely. If you are on a budget, I would highly recommend putting a large portion of your running budget towards your shoes. Bonus is to also be aware of the return policies from where you purchase your running shoes. Some may offer returns if you stick under a certain mileage, or have a change of mind. Trust me, it's not worth going through the agony of trying to run shoes in if they're just not working for you. Contact the store you purchased them from and see what they can do in regards to a return or a swap. So there we have it. This is how you can work out and find the best shoes to run a marathon in. If you're currently training for a marathon, let me know down in the comments what shoes you are going to be using come race day. I'd love to continue the chat down there. And if you liked this video, you may also like this one here on running gear essentials. I'm Jack, and I'll see you next time. Catch up.